Hello and welcome to our webinar here on Monday, the 6th of May. It's me, Robert Schrele, the Senior Product Manager of testXpert in the Zwick-Röhl Group.
And my name is Daniel Kreuzer, Product Manager in the After Sales for Digital Services. Nice to be here with you.
Yeah, and today we want to share some news about the potential in your testing data, how you can unlock these, and we will continue in our presentation. I think for the presentation mode, we will switch off our camera so that you can focus on the content of our presentation, and we will continue now. We like to start with this screen because this is still a situation which we can see and which is the feedback of our customers, which is kind of common in some companies still, that testing data are, let's say, distributed. Thank you, Daniel. Distributed all over the company, in your research department, in your production side, and in many cases they are linked with your ERP system or your LIM system, but in a certain way the data are not in one place. And this was one of our trigger couple of years ago to develop some tools to support you, and we combined them in our Zwick-Röhl digital package. And during this presentation we will have a deeper look into these applications. It's test data management for, let's say, a generation of a global test report, trend analysis as a simple statistical process control, Lab Explore as a web tool for the participation in round-robin tests.
And condition monitoring for the machine availability. So we segmented it in two parts. One, Robert already mentioned, for the test data, and the other one is for the machines. And here we can offer in condition monitoring so that you get an overview of all your machines and getting exactly what you are doing with your notifications. Also the customer portal, where you have an overview of all your documents and have also the possibility to get in touch with us, and remote support for heavy issues so that you can contact us immediately via remote, so that you're having right access to experts, and that's immediately.
And let's say the core of these applications, at least for the test data and the machine data, is our what we call storage, which is a database which is combining all testing data and all machine data in a database. And as you probably know, as a user of testXpert, testXpert is a file-based system where normally the data are distributed in different series files with the extension ZS2. And sometimes it's a little bit troublesome if you are looking for let's say historic data, to find these files on your computer, on your server, or wherever you stored it. But with this storage, we have now the possibility to combine all the data additionally to these files in this database. And with this database, we have the possibility with these web applications, condition monitoring, test data management, trend analysis, and for very special applications also for the fatigue data evaluation.
Also, you have the possibility that you can have then a look on your test data or machine data around the world via the web client in your company network.
Exactly. And the next step is that we are establishing this database on your server, on a dedicated server in a virtual machine on your IT infrastructure. So then you are able to combine testing data from several Zwick-Röhl machines and devices, and then you have the same possibility to access data globally within your company network and have a look on this data at any time from every place. And here you can see, let's say, the outlook. This is what we are presenting this year on our Test Expo. This is a little bit, let's say, the digital future of your testing and machine data with these storage. We call it analytics server in the center, where you are connecting several machines and devices to this database. On the right-hand side, you can see these applications one more time: test data management, trend analysis, condition monitoring, and fatigue data analysis. But also what we are developing right now and presenting on the Test Expo this year in October is a REST API. This is a kind of standardized interface so that you can connect your ERP system or your LIMS system directly to this database, rather than coming individual data from each machine, from each file. And then you have a standardized connection to all your test and machine data. And last but not least, we are still able to offer, let's say, a tailored, a customized solution if you need a special file format, or you have your own application on site, so that we can also connect it directly to this database.
So it's up to you if you want to have a quick and easy access via our web client tools, test data management, condition monitoring, or a customized connection to your ERP LIMS system as you wish.
Yes, and the big difference is that coming from a push mechanism, so that the test program on testXpert is pushing data into your system, we are moving into a pull mechanism, that your applications are pulling the data which you need. And I will give you one example. What is one of the big advantages of such a pull mechanism? So far, you are defining in your export interfaces in testXpert what kind of data you need. Let's have the use case that maybe 1 year later your quality manager is looking into your data and is wondering, what was, by the way, the testing speed which have been used with these data. So if you haven't defined the testing speed in your export interface, then it's a little bit troublesome to get this information about the testing speed which have been used for a particular set of data. But all this information are in this analytics server in the center, and with this pull mechanism, then it's just up to you in this REST API to access the testing speed as well. And this is, let's say, an outlook for the future. What are our plans for this test and machine data?
So please stay tuned and have a look on the Test Expo what's coming up next.
And this is just a typical picture from customers which are already using these kind of mechanisms, so that you have a process in your company. In this case, it's a metal-based company, but it's let's say a more general picture. But in this case, raw material is coming into any kind of production, casting, extrusion, cooling, and all these processes which you apply to your materials, to your products, needs to be tested. You are determining mechanical properties as a quality assurance, and then you decide, okay, whether the product is fine or not, and then you can release your product. And this is let's say, along this process, and this is one possible process, you have access from everywhere to all this data at any time. And this is again the picture. You have a production which is somehow involved in this process. You have a testing here in the center, where you are producing or where you are checking the product quality, the materials quality of your process. Then you have this connection to a storage, to a database, and with this web applications, you can do a test data analysis in any direction which you need. And around this process, testXpert is already supporting you in several ways. you can connect QR codes to get data into your system, or combine, let's say, organization data with your testing data. We have this traceability functionality implemented in testXpert, which is very important for all the medical and pharmaceutical companies to prove who was doing what, why, and when, according to these FDA regulations. Daniel already mentioned with the remote support, if there's any issue with your machine, then our engineers can access your testing system from remote with your support, with your, let's say, release, and then we can help you in a very short notice if there's any issue. Lab Explorer can help you to see how your testing lab is performing compared to other labs around the world. Customer portal was mentioned, that you have access to your calibration reports, for example, to your service reports, but you also have the possibility to download testXpert at any time if you need to set up a new computer, or you want to go for an update or upgrade of your system. You can easily access this data.
Yeah, and please keep in mind that the digital package, especially for the testXpert, the newest version, is for 1 year free.
Yes.
So that you can try it out.
Yeah. So this is let's say one workflow where Zwick-Röll, testXpert, and these digital applications are supporting you with your testing data. And coming now to let's say more to one example where one of these applications is in use, Daniel.
Yeah. So this is a feedback from our one especially customer who bought condition monitoring because he said, from my point of view, I have a machine close to production and I want to know an example when an overload is happening. So in earlier times, he didn't get it from the colleagues. So maybe 3 weeks after then. And now with condition monitoring, he has the possibility, because there's also an email alert inside, he's knowing immediately when an overload is happening. So at that point, he's getting the information, and then at that point, he can planning then the next step, what is possible then. An example, he can do a measurement again with this load cell. The load cell could be all right, or he can immediately or change then the load cell if it's necessary. But having this information, planning by time, what's going up next, it's quite helpful for him. So he decided to bought it for each machine that he has, this condition monitoring, to reduce work time at his space. And yeah, and he's happy about it.
And I think on top of these, all the information about the machine is also documented in this system. So let's say if you are having an audit or something like this, you have always access to this data. So let's move to another example. This was already our example. So this is giving you a summary before we are giving you, let's say, a short live demo of these applications. So this digitalization of your material testing process is, let's say, part of the future for your production. And let's say, we are all talking about big data. We are all talking about artificial intelligence. And this is, let's say, the base for all these applications for the future. And as we mentioned in the beginning, this analytics server in the center is also the base for any AI tool which we are currently working on to support you even further in the future. So let's have a look into this application. So this was our starting screen with the different applications which we are currently offering. And Daniel and I will give you a short
introduction
of the tools. Let me start with a trend analysis. So we have a link here to one of our servers here in our application or in our company. This is also where a few machines are connected, and we prepared some examples. So this is now the application trend analysis. As I mentioned in the beginning, a basic statistical process control where I can define some search criteria here on the left-hand side, like the name of the test program which have been used or what kind of material have been tested. But I can also find more criteria to which I want to make this selection, depending on how you are organizing your data. And based on this selection, I can create my own filters, which I already did. I called it my aluminum. And this is, I also selected one mechanical property. Sorry, it's in German because it was used here. So this was a selection from aluminum. We can see here the trend line of my ultimate tensile strength. I can define control limits, and if I look here in the thing, I have the possibility to define my own custom warning and control limits. And then I have a very quick overview about the process quality of my production line, of my production process. So I can see this data, and whenever there's an outlier like here, then I can have a look into my processes and see whether everything is fine or not. And this also gives you the possibility, in one example, to make a supplier evaluation. For example, I do incoming good control from a supplier, and then I can see supplier A, it's very a straight line. Maybe supplier B, I have a bigger scattering. So then I have also a very fast indication to go back to my supplier and ask for, let's say, what's wrong with your, for example, product line.
So do you have also the possibility then to reduce your testing?
Exactly. This is one feedback which we receive, and this is one of the applications of such a statistical process control. If I can see that my supplier A is very much in line of my control and warning limits, then I can also reduce my incoming good control, save time and money here as well, but still rely on the quality of my material. On the other end of the production, let's say if you are producing, let's say in batches, then you can easily access all the data from one particular batch. You can see they are all within my limits, and then you can release this batch in a shorter time, which also helps you to save time and again money. Let me give you one example for the other application. It's test data management. I also show it here. It's also with a login, so not everybody will have access to this data. And here we have the possibility, similar like in testXpert, to see a different kind of data. Oh, switch to English. Thank you, Daniel. And here I have also the possibility to access this data and have also these filters, for example, like before my aluminum. Now I can see all the data which I have tested, maybe all the 50 or 40 data. I can select all my data. I can see here the E-modulus, the break, and the ultimate tensile strength. I can see also the statistics, but also very nice that I can see a stress strain curve of all these data to see how was my quality of these data. But let's move on to something on the machine side, Daniel.
Okay, we are leaving now the test data and coming now to the machine data.
And as Daniel mentioned, everyone is getting a 1-year trial license with our latest testXpert 3 versions 1.9 and 1.91. And there's a limitation of 1 year. And here we can see that it's still until a couple of weeks working. But this is also giving you, let's say, an indication. Okay, I used to have this free trial license, and either we are contacting you or you are contacting us if you are happy with these tools, that you get a lifetime license for these tools.
Yeah, condition monitoring. It's segmented in 3 parts. The first part is the machine setups, where you get some KPIs of your testing machine from our side. The second part is the maintenance notification, where you have the possibility, to having something in front of your auditor. Don't waste time for some Excel sheets or paperwork. You can digitalize it here in the condition monitoring. And but last not least, the accessory sensor information, which are used also in your machines, and having here also an overview from the sensors itself, from the parts, what kind of sensor it is, and when it should be next calibrated. But Robert?
And for these maintenance notifications, I can define my own maintenance.
Of course. We have prepared for you, especially for your machines, some maintenance notification, but also you have the possibility, under settings and general settings, at first define the email alert, but also in the intervals to define your customer service intervals. So we are knowing you have customized testing devices, processes. So we want to giving you the opportunity, the possibility to find your notifications. Good point is also that you have to do it just once, and then also you can distribute it when you have different machines with the same status, also to distribute it all over the world by using also settings and backup and restore configuration to export, these notifications, and then by another machine import it, so that you have a standardized notifications around the world for specific machines or for all devices as you wish. You can control it from your side.
So this means I have the information about the machine itself displayed in an easy way, but also all the maintenance, and it's documented for audits or any kind of check what is going on with the machine.
Correctly. Yeah, and also, but it's easy. An example: when a colleague is starting his testing day, he can start with condition monitoring at first, and he see a lot of maintenance notification. What he has to do, an example, by starting in this day, checking this machine, and after check-in, he can confirm that he did it, and that's it. So having in an easily way such kind of notifications digitalized, up to you, make your working day easier. And that's the point we want to offer you with our tools. But also by the KPIs, we have some trend analysis. Let's have a look on tensile test, that you also get a feeling what kind of test you're doing, so that you are knowing, okay, how I'm using my testing devices for right. And in best case, you get the result. Maybe I need a new machine at that point, or we can put more work on this machine, on this testing device, so that you have more efficiency on your side.
And here we can also see in which load range the machine was used. And this is maybe not a very typical machine, because this is a machine in our software development department. So maybe these data are not that real, but anyway, you will see how the machine is used. And as Daniel mentioned, if you are looking for another machine, you have an overview. Is the load range sufficient of this machine? Maybe you need a smaller or bigger machine. This will also help you to make a decision for the future.
So getting all the information out of your machine so that you have the possibility to decide what are the next steps for this machine in a way of predictive maintenance, so that everything is prepared and you knowing, okay, maybe by the next time, by your next maintenance, you starting or preparing maybe a new load cell, and not when it's already happened, when the load cell is broken.
Yes. And Daniel, there's one feature which I like very much. give me
Good.
give me
Yeah,
give me
okay,
give me
then
the
you can
time.
do it.
So there's a small and tiny feature. Actually, I think it should be more on top. But anyway, this is called here. It's called cross force. So if I look into this feature and also look into a defined range. So what we are doing here is that we are doing a kind of a daily check of this machine. So typically on the load cell, there's a tool, there's a grip or any accessories mounted to the load cell. And these tools, these accessories are coming with a defined weight, which should not change. So every time when we are doing this daily check, we are measuring the weight of these tools and see whether the measurement of this weight is still okay. And here you can see there is it's a 1 kilonewton load cell, so there's a 1 newton let's say limit defined here, and the 2 newton limit. So every time when we are measuring the weight of these tools, we can see the deviation is small enough so that we can get a first indication that the load cell is still working well. Beside the overload situation, which is let's say
Worst case.
a worst case thing, which we are also indicating, but also here with this daily check, you can also get some information about the situation of the load cell itself.
Yeah, as I mentioned, in a way of predictive maintenance, so that you have a look when these values are coming close to the borders, which are set it here, and then you have the possibility to decide, okay, change I this load cell or not. But yeah, Robert, the best things always at last.
Yes. So this was a very quick overview about the tools which we have mentioned. The other tools like Lab Explorer or remote support, there will be other webinars where we can give you an insight here as well. I think the customer portal, it's very easy, as you can just go to our webpage and then you can link in. And we would like to say thank you very much for your time and your questions. And yeah, hopefully you got some insights and maybe some advantages of these solutions so that you are maybe considering to use them in the future. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you also for my time, and have a nice day. Bye.